Shake here with a pair of back-to-back battles on my journey to 3 mark the Vk30.02D. This is the tier 7 German tech tree tank that is not called the Panther. And this one is completely different in its playstyle, and I actually find it to be a enjoyable change from what is admittedly my favorite tank in the game with the Panther. This one, however, unlike the Panther, which I highly value its absolute non-need of premium ammo, its very dependable weapon, this tank doesn't necessarily have that. Instead, it has a much smaller profile, it has all-around angled armor, extremely good mobility, and while the gun's not quite as consistent and reliable, it is much punchier. Being a short 88, this is the 88 L56. Now, the KWK L56 is what you find starting out on a number of tier 6s. It has 145 penetration with its regular AP and 194 with its premium. Keep in mind that premium penetration is basically what the Panther has on its 75 L100 with AP. So you do have to dip into premium, and you'll see that in both battles. And you'll also see it with a couple shots in the upcoming video where I actually finished my 3rd mark. So unlike the Panther, where you rarely see me fire premium ever, you do have to with the VK. And that's just because 145 penetration is not enough for a lot of targets, including a lot of tier 6s. Like, I'm about to engage an OI over here. He has 150 millimeters of armor, mostly across his entire front, and some of it's angled to provide higher effectiveness. And basically, when I run into them and I'm running a vehicle such as this and I cannot get to the side, I just load the armor piercing composite rigid, which is what the APCR stands for, and I shoot straight for the turret cheeks. It's an unfortunate thing, but this weapon doesn't have the penetration otherwise, unless you can get behind or beside. And it basically becomes, you have to select your ammo for the target with this. Like LTG, I can take him out with a regular AP, no problem. I shouldn't ever fire APCR at him. But here's the OI. I was around the corner here, first deal with the KV2, but the OI that I'm seeing here, you'll notice I immediately click over to my APCR, and I'm searching for the shot on his turret cheeks, because that's a guaranteed penetration. Now, as you'll see here, the gun handling on this L56 is not as good as the Panthers, and that's the trade-off. You get a lower profile, much higher mobility, in some ways better armor, but this is a much more agile medium, and you give up the gun handling and the penetration, the accuracy, but you gain mobility and alpha damage. So it's a nice kind of yin to the yang of the Panther, and I actually thoroughly enjoy both vehicles. As you'll see, I can turn, instead of going to a full-on DPM fight like I would with the Panther, I turned this into a trade with that E25. My Panther could actually take on an E25 with my setup and just sit there and take the hits. But I don't need to do that with the VK. I'll hit him for 220, I'll back off, let him hit me for 130, and then I'll come back around and hit him for 220 again. And even if he hit me again, then we're going to get into an exponentially better trade for me. And I have the agility to do it. Just like I'm doing here with, again, this is a tier 6 that I'm fighting with the STRV, but he hits, again, for around, tier 6s hit for 125 to 150 depending on the tank, and this hits for 220 with better armor and with all the agility to make it work. Now, as you see, this is a very, very traditional flanking medium. It has the speed to do it, it has the agility to handle dealing with multiple targets coming at multiple directions, and it's very quick. As you'll notice, it gets up to speed fast. And yes, I am going to go for the ram here on the Super Chaffee. Almost finished. But that's how you play the VK. And I've shot 3 premium rounds so far, and towards the end I will shoot more, and I do find myself shooting 5 to 10 a game, and that's kind of what it takes. Now I'm going to ignore the artillery. We have the STRV to the south. He should be able to take out 1 artillery, no problem. So I'm going to move on to where I think I'm more needed. The more dangerous enemies that are left, which the game is still close. It's not absolutely for certain. That's why I left the STRV to take care of the artillery, because I am much more needed right here in the Central Cliffs. I need to get up here and help. This is where all of the more dangerous targets are, such as this Leo. And of course, there's the derpiness of the 88 compared to the reliability of the Panther 75. That shot was at least 75% aimed at when the dirt, and that happens. But again, there's the small terms armor on the turret. It can play somewhat hold down. It doesn't have the gun depression necessarily like your Swedish or American, but it has some turret armor. And there we go, snagging off the kill of the enemy STRV, and looking to finish off the last enemy, but he gets my wife instead. But here's the next couple of premium I would fire, because he is hull down, and I don't have a whole lot of chance of penetrating him. Thankfully, artillery goes ahead, finishes him off, because I was actually going to try to charge him and get around. Well, let's go into the results. It was an ace, and along with a number of other ribbons, I got the top gun and high caliber out of that battle. And that was a very, very good showcase of the VK in its natural habitat, basically. Flanking and then exploiting an opening. And that's what the VK can do better than my favorite tank, the Panther. The VK can push a flank faster and deal higher damage per shot, which can get people to back off a little more. I still would, in a straight up one-on-one, I would take the Panther over the VK for a number of reasons, but that'd be a different video. Going into the second battle, here we are in Tundra, which surprisingly our challenger doesn't like this map. I actually find this map to be pretty good. So I have a distinctive place I want to go with this medium. I am mid-tier. There are a number of tier 8s, so I am going to try to push the hill. This tank is well suited. It's got the speed. It has the ability to get up there as quick as I can, as long as I don't get slowed down by anybody in front of me, which in this case is nice. Not getting bumped and shoved. And I know I'm going to take a hit or two. You almost always do. It's the amount of damage I take hopefully isn't too much to where it cripples me. So there's 1 and 2, 3 hits. The enemy T50-2 is firing premium, and I was so close to my mark that I basically got to the point where I said, you know what, if I'm going to get hit by premium, I'm going to fire it back. And here in a second, I actually do. I want to finish off that VK with a hit. And then, honestly, I forgot to click back off of my premium. So you're going to see a lot of it. I don't need it for the T50-2, and I shouldn't be shooting it. And I wanted to ensure the kill on the VK. So yes, I did fire it there, and now I just really didn't realize I was still firing it. Now I do realize that I'm getting hit in the side of the turret from below, so I have to charge the T50-2. This is the position I wanted to be in. And the reason is that the enemy team, I had a feeling that they were going to push this, because they have the ML1951, who is perfectly suited to hold down fighting. And they had a lot of heavies. They came this way and pushed it. Now I need to play distraction. Or, if they're not going to get distracted by me, I have the opportunity to deal the damage. Like this T-29, he's focused more on the people in front of him, so I'll do the damage. Now, if I can get his attention, my teammates will be having a lot of pressure taken off of him. So, just like that. Now this T-29, he is going to focus me for most of the rest of his game. Because, you know, you put a few shots into somebody, they want to get rid of you. And like this T-150, he is so tired of seeing himself and his teammates get shot in the side, he's going to come up after me. He basically has no chance of out DPMing me, but he did get one hit into me. So now I have to play ultra careful. So you'll see me pan out, and you should do this as well. Pan out. I don't run any mods. This is stock, vanilla camera, but you can zoom out just far enough that you can keep your tank behind cover and look and see, where are the turrets of the enemies pointing? Are they looking at you, or are they looking at your teammates? And all I'm doing for the rest of the game here is I am waiting for the turrets of the enemy to turn away from me, just like that. It doesn't even have to be turned fully away from me. The agility of the VK is quick enough that if that T-29 or any of the other heavies turn their turret to face my teammates, I will put a hit into them. And I'm trying to work on all of them. So I don't want any of them to get to where they can just sit there and focus on my teammate. Like say this E75 TS. I do have to shoot premium for something like the E75 TS to get any kind of reasonably reliable penetration. The side of his turret, yes, you can penetrate it with AP, but in this where I'm poking out real quick and firing and moving back instantly, I don't have as much time to carefully aim. Like, again, the side of the Emil's turret is pretty weak when you get towards the back, but in this case, I was at 93.4% on my mark of excellence, and yes, I shot premium. A lot of it I didn't need to shoot because I had forgotten, but the game became, I wanted to take the pressure off my teammates, and it worked. It worked actually pretty nicely in this case, and I benefited, they benefited, and we had a very convincing win. Of course, our team in the West also did a great job. It wasn't just me or the people over here on the East. But coming to the results, it was another ace. This was a back-to-back game with my third mark game, which I'll put in a separate video. But I did get a high caliber and an ace in this, with over 3,000 damage and over 1,300 base experience. So it was a very nice game. It was a little costly though. But hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. And stay tuned for the third mark video, which will be separate and coming up soon.